The sine and the cosine that you get, of course, we all know it's the ratio of the triangles and all that stuff, but it is really only a function of the angle. The sine that you get when you have a really shallow angle, like let's say 1 degree angle, if you put that in your calculator and get the cosine of it, you're going to get a number that's going to be much higher than 0.8. It's going to be much closer to 1 because most of the force will be in the x direction. If I have a 1 degree angle like this and I take the sine of 1 degree, I'm going to get a number really close to 0 because there's very little of that force in the vertical direction if I have an angle really small like this. Let's check these ratios by calculating the sine and the cosine. Remember, the cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So now that we have figured all this stuff out, let's go over and do that, and I want to do it right below here. The sine of an angle is going to be equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. That's what the definition, the mathematical definition of the sine is. But in this triangle, the opposite to this angle is 7.2 newtons. The hypotenuse is 12 newtons. So the sine of the angle that we get when we divide 7.2 and divide by 12, we get, what do you think, 0.6. That's what we already know the sine of it is. Okay? And then the cosine of the angle is going to be equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. But the adjacent side of this triangle, adjacent to the angle, is 9.6, and then will be divided by 12. 9.6 divided by 12. So the cosine of this angle, when you divide those two numbers, you get 0.8. So you see, everything is fine. I took the angle, I stuck it in a calculator, I hit the button, I got the sine and the cosine. I use the sine and the cosine to multiply by the hypotenuse and calculate the other sides of the triangle. But once I have the other sides of the triangle, I can run them back through the definition of the sine and the cosine. I'm going to calculate the same numbers. Learn anything at mathandscience.com.